The new report that CBRE has produced called How Global is the Business of Retail is for us a very important piece of research because it has quite an interesting impact on the Middle East region. What we did is we talked to more than 300 retailers across 60 countries and we determined through the various categories of retailing components that they have where they were most operational, where their aspirations for new operational locations was going to be. And for the Middle East, the results have been very interesting. So for instance, Dubai has come in as the second most represented city for global retailers after London, and the UAE has come in as the second most represented location after the UK. So very interesting, exciting results for the UAE. We looked at where retailers are operating at the moment, and we divided those retailers into three geographical categories, the Americas, EMEA and Asia Pac. We then subdivided the retailers into their types and we came up with 9 categories. And what's interesting, despite some difficulties in economic conditions around the world, what we saw was that every single one of the 9 categories was continuing to seek to expand their brands. And if you compare 2011 to 2010, every single category expanded. The most important, the most expansionary was the category we call value and denim, which expanded their footprint by about 4%. But importantly, the concept of retailers being affected by the way the economies are working at the moment seems to be overridden by their desire to go to new markets and diversify their current geographical standing. Dubai fares so well in this survey because it's such an international city, and that gives it lots of advantages over the competition. Firstly, we know that Dubai is the most developed city with the best infrastructure, the best air transport systems here in region, and it has the most international communities here. So retailers see the client base, the buyer community here being, in many cases, similar to their home markets. We also have a very high GDP per capita here within the region, and Dubai amongst GCC shoppers is seen as a hub, a tourism destination. So we have 3 components: the infrastructure, the quality and the spendability of the people who are living here regularly, and the accessibility to high net worth individuals from the rest of the region. All of those components together make Dubai a very important retailing destination. For the MENA region as a whole, it's also an interesting report. If you look at the representation of global brands, MENA comes in second place after Europe. And if you look at the brands from Asia Pac and Europe, the MENA region is the #1 location for their brands outside of their country, their home territories, and the #1 location for future expansion. For American retailers, which of course make up the majority of the world's retailing community, it comes in at 2nd location after London. So the opportunity, we think, for complementary brands to come into this location are pretty significant because there's still almost half the world's retailers who are not represented here. We looked at, as a part of this report, the city which had attracted the most new retailers. And in #1 spot this year was Kazakhstan, Almaty in particular. And this is for a specific reason. We've had 2 major malls open during the course of 2011, and we have 18 new aspirant retailers come into that market to try and, for the first time, to target that particular country. For the Middle East, though, what we see is that many of the franchised brands which are operational in the GCC and MENA region at the moment are also seeking to expand their operating territory into the Stans. And so Kazakhstan also benefited from GCC-controlled retailers expanding back to the fringes of Europe.